Hi, I'm Heidi, and this is my homestead. Let's go check it out. It is the start of spring planting for me. Okay, so this is the current state of the garden. Last fall we added lots of leaf mulch to each bed, and most recently we added the chicken coop clean out to this area. There are a lot of weeds to yet pull. I feel like I have been pulling weeds all spring so far. However, this is where we are starting off working. I have my seed starts ready to go, and I want to show you the garden plan before we get going. Okay, so when you have a garden as big as this, it's really good to have a plan going in so that once you start planting, you don't get confused. So in the first few beds, I have tomatoes and we have carrots, which are already sown. My husband is growing those this year. In the next bed, I have more tomatoes, and along the perimeter, I'm gonna do beets. The garlic is already in and growing. Kale seeds are next to it. Then we have the pepper bed and the brassica bed, which this year includes green cabbage. There will be red cabbage, broccoli, and Napa cabbages. I'll show you the strawberry bed as it is booming right now. Then we have some zucchinis, cucumbers, and tomatillos. This is parsley from last year. I'm hoping that it will come back, but I'm not sure. Then I have the onion bed, which is already planted, and I'll show you. And then this bed is the old strawberry bed from last year, where my husband has currently already planted some lettuces and more carrots. And then we move over here into what I call the wilderness area. We're gonna add some more archway trellises this year. Where the chicken clean out is going to be my pumpkins and vining squash. I'm gonna throw a couple zucchinis in. This area is the main area of our asparagus, which is very well established asparagus bed. And then this bed, I have it labeled as bush beans, but I think I'm gonna change it because currently what was supposed to be corn is another brassica bed because I started way too many brassicas. So that is currently more cabbages. So this might become corn. And then we can possibly move bush beans to this area, which is mostly weeds and tarped off at this point. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna go bed by bed so that I don't get confused. We're gonna start with the tomatoes. All right, so this is gonna be tomatoes, and then this is gonna be tomatoes. First things first, I'm gonna go through and weed it as best I can. I do have some like rogue green onions growing, and I think I'm gonna leave those. Okay, so I got most of the beds weeded as best I can. I'm gonna weed the pathways another time just because I'm anxious to get the tomato plants in the ground. But I wanted to show you something because every year I tell myself I'm only going to grow 2 cherry tomatoes because I just don't really enjoy them as much as other tomatoes. I only like them for like salads and stuff. And the majority of the tomatoes I like to grow are paste tomatoes for either like pasta sauces and salsas, but let me show you what happened. Okay, so these are Amish paste tomatoes, my bread and butter, and I have 15 Amish paste tomatoes. Great. Then I'm trying this new variety called Homesteader, another paste tomato. I have 4 of those. Great. I have 3 San Marzanos. I've never really had good luck with San Marzanos, and they're super small. So in my opinion, it's not a good bang for your buck tomato. I have a couple Romas. These are all Romas. And I have some slicing tomatoes. These are Cherokee Purple, one of my favorite varieties. And then these are Dr. Weechee, which is like a large yellow tomato, good for like burgers and tomato salad and whatnot. And then these. How many is that? 11 Sun Gold cherry tomatoes. and 6 black strawberry grape tomatoes, which are essentially just a little bit larger than a cherry tomato. I feel obligated to plant all of these, but really, I just don't know what I'm gonna do with all these cherry tomatoes. I guess I can add them to sauce and potentially give a whole bunch away, which I think I will reserve some for my parents because they like to grow some patio tomatoes. But yeah, lesson not learned from last year. So here we are planting like half of the tomatoes that I don't really enjoy, which, as you know, my rule is only plant what you eat. But here we are. So we're gonna just do our best. All right, so I have my tomatoes laid out. You want to space them about 18 inches apart because these are indeterminate tomatoes, which means they can grow an undetermined amount of length in branches. And so last year, I think I planted them way too close and I had a lot of trouble with disease. I had a few auxiliary tomatoes that need to go into this bed, which was supposed to be kale, but is now tomatoes. And I have that many sun gold tomatoes left over, which I might try to opportunistically pop into the ground somewhere, but I don't know where, and maybe I'll just give those away or try to sell them or something. But let's get planting. And side note, shocker, I already lost my shovel, so hold please while I find it. This won't be the first time I lose it. Okay, so my husband planted carrots in this, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but this very shallow edge on both sides, so I need to be careful of that. But for tomatoes, what you want to do is dig a really deep hole, because tomatoes have the ability, let me see if I can get this to zoom, to grow roots all along their stem. So what I'm going to do is when I take this out of the container, I'm going to pot it or put it in the ground probably all the way up to here, so that all of this plus all of this is root development. And that's how you're going to grow really good and strong tomatoes. All right. So I think this is a black strawberry. Yeah, I think this is a black strawberry grape tomato. So we have really nice, good roots. We have a super deep hole, and I'm gonna plant it super deep. And cover it all the way up. And I'm just gonna take that first set of leaves off. So I just took that leaf off. Come a little closer here. All right. So this tomato, as it grows, I'm going to take all the leaves off till about a foot in the air, because the splashback from the rain, when the rain hits the soil, it splashes back up onto the leaves, and that is how you get disease on your leaves. And the way you negate that is by, as it grows, taking those leaves off so it's just stem above the soil. All right, so we have all the tomatoes planted now, 40 of them, and I put up their little trellises. These are just trellises that were on the property when we bought it 3 years ago, and we continue to use them. So what'll happen as the tomato grows, it'll come up the trellis, and this is just twine from last year. I just tie it off to the trellises as they grow. And along this bed, we're going to put a line of beets right along the front, and then I have some herbs to kind of put in between the trellises too. All right, next I'm going to plant the peppers, and what I'm going to do is plant them from mildest to hottest, and I'm going to plant them fairly close because as peppers grow, they like to, quote, hold hands, and so they like when they're touching their other pepper plants, and they also will help support each other as they grow and bear fruit. So let's get after it. All right, so here I have the peppers all planted. Are they too close? Probably. But I also need to fit some sweet peppers here on the end. Here's the brassica bed I was telling you about, and the Napa cabbage are actually looking really good. And I'm hoping to make some kimchi with those. And then we have some broccoli And I think this is actually more broccoli. Over here is where we have a lot of the cabbages. And then we're also trying some broccolini. That's what it's called. It's like small broccolis. Although it's been so hot, look, a lot of them are already going to seed. They're bolting, so we might not get as many of those as I initially thought. It's just been a very, very hot spring so far. And I still have all these purple cabbages to plant. Where those are going is a future Heidi problem. I am 100% not sure where those are going yet. The last thing I want to show you is the strawberry patch. It's really coming along great. Let's pull this weed. We have had tons and tons of blooms, and if you look, they are starting to set their little fruit. So I am anticipating a really nice strawberry season this year. All right, so there you have it, the first garden tour, although it wasn't too much of a tour, but the first garden video of 2024. And I'm hoping to get the rest of the garden planted out, and then I'll do an official tour like I usually do coming up. But as usual, I will finish the video with a shot of what the chicken ladies are up to. Hey, chicken ladies. You gonna come out for a little bit? Come on, girls.